Good morning, Facebook, and everybody watching from all over the world. My name is Isabella Hamilton. I am here with the one and only Derek James. Good morning, and thank you so much for being here with me.
Good morning, Bella. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I was telling you right before we started that I'm actually in West Virginia right now, and it's pretty cold here compared to usually where I am in California. So, but you are in New York.
I'm in New York. You're a little out of your element right now. You should be back in California. But yeah, I'm in New York. So you know the weather right now. It's cold there. It's cold here. So
Yeah, actually it started snowing this morning. I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen snow in a long time. So
we'll enjoy it. Enjoy it. You won't see it again for a while.
thank you. I am so excited to have you here with me today. We spoke a little bit in the past, but we never really got to go in depth too much of what exactly you do. I mean, I know you're a very super successful entrepreneur, and I was telling you before we got on that I got so many messages from people asking me who this guy is and what are you doing, and how you got to be so successful. So, would you like to start from the beginning and tell us your history a little bit?
I'll give you like just a little breakdown of kind of how I got into it and how I got to where we are today. So, I started in the e-commerce space probably about 7 or 8 years ago, and it wasn't selling right away. I was the head of sales for an e-commerce software company named SureDone, and they were what was called a multi-channel e-commerce platform. So think like Channel Advisor. We were a smaller version and a smaller competitor of Channel Advisor, but kind of how I got my MBA or my doctorate in e-commerce was working at this company, because we would go after higher scale sellers. So like someone of my caliber now, I was trying to get them as an account to use our software. And so we were a higher level, $5,000 a month, 10 grand a month. We had enterprise clients. And what I would do is I would fly on site with a sales engineer and we would onboard these guys. And so I started to kind of get immersed in this e-commerce space, right? I was flying on site with people doing 20, 30 million a year. And I'm watching them do this on channels like Amazon, eBay, Walmart was just kind of starting out, people killing it on Shopify, and we're linking their stores up, and we were like an inventory management system. So I got a taste of it then, but it wasn't until I went out on my own. I started an agency about 5.5 years ago. And what I specialized in was I was flying overseas and I was taking manufacturers direct to Amazon. And this is where I became like a savage on Amazon. So I'd fly, I'd go to a manufacturer that had more money than God. And I was like, you want to go direct to Amazon? I'll take you. I would put their whole catalog up. I would build all their ASINs from scratch. And I keep in mind, only private label. I've never done wholesale. So I'd build everything from scratch, from the ground up. I had an agency, I had a team. And I think like we were breaking records. Like I had clients that we would go from nothing to 500,000-600,000 in sales in 4 months. Like just really beast mode stuff, like real hyper growth, right? And long story short, I started to realize that the big money, and don't get me wrong, the agency model was really good, but the big money was being a seller, owning your own stuff, having your own brand, something that could have a valuation. And so I ended up linking up with my business partner, and we launched about three and a half years ago, roughly, on Amazon. And we're going to do $75 million this year on Amazon between both of our accounts and our Canada account. So we have 2 approved accounts, and then we just launched in Canada as well. But right now we're tracking at about 75 million to finish the year off. Top 100 Amazon seller in 3 years. So that's kind of the story. I mean, obviously there's a lot more in those 3.5 years, but that's a brief overview of it.
That sounds like an amazing story. So did you keep your agency? Do you still help other companies, or you're solely doing your own thing now?
Yeah. So no, I don't take people and launch them on Amazon anymore. Like, we focus on our own private labels that we own. But what I did launch was a company called VA Relief. And it was the only way I could figure out how to like give back, because as you do own a company as well. It is a lot of work to try and help somebody in whatever degree they need on Amazon. It's just something we don't have time for. But I built the business that I just told you about in 3.5 years utilizing VAs to do 90% of the heavy lifting, okay? I am definitely the brain behind it. I make the needle move. I'm the one that triggers sales happening. But as you know, being a seller, there's a lot of shit going around in the back end that takes astronomical amounts of time. So as I built the company out, you know, my head of marketing made a joke to me. She goes, we should just start a VA company, like we've perfected it. And I like called her on that. I'm like, we're going to start a VA company because we already have the whole infrastructure. So I own a massive team out in India. It's very big now because we started VA Relief, which is varelief.com. You can throw it up here after. I don't want to plug it too hard, but we've done very well with current and existing Amazon sellers. That's the market that I go after with that side hustle business. So if you're doing 50K a month or more and you're experienced, I will take all the heavy lifting off your plate. If you're looking for Amazon automation or you want somebody to build it from the ground up, I'm not your guy, transparently, you know? So that's kind of how we pivoted that. Yeah.
So you started your company and then you realized that you can't do this by yourself and you started hiring VAs, or how did this idea came about?
No, it's a great question. So I remember sitting in a cubicle, probably half the size of the desk that I'm in right now. And it was when I had started selling on Amazon as a startup company. And so what ended up happening was I got to about 300 grand a month. And at 300K a month, transparently, I was working like 15, 16 hours a day. I was miserable. We were making money, but it's like, what's the quality of life at this point, right? Like, I think I had 2 children at that time. I now have 4. I saw my wife maybe once a day for an hour. Like, it was just crazy. You know, I was working all the time. And so a buddy of mine was like, why don't you bring on a virtual assistant? And if you're an Amazon seller, you know the complexity of bringing a VA on into your system, because the common misconception is this: like, you just hire a VA and they automatically know how to run Isabella's business, right? She plugs them in and they're running your company and everything's smooth. And I think me and you both know that's just not realistic. So I actually had to put the blood, sweat, and tears in to train these VAs, which was a lot of work. But in doing this, I developed this like fluid system where now we have so many VAs that it's just simplistic for us to basically onboard them into our ecosystem. But I did start with 1, and then I continued to keep scaling from there. That 1 turned into 3, the 3 turned into 10. I now have 35 VAs that work just for my businesses. So I just want to be clear on that. That's just for my Amazon accounts, my Walmart accounts, my Shopify, my Google, everywhere we sell. Above and beyond that, at VA Relief, we have a ton of VAs because we have clients now, you know? So, yeah.
And, are these only from India, or you work with different countries?
So just India. I built my whole team in India. The difference between us, I think, and then, you know, a different country or another model is our VAs are pre-trained. And on top of that, there is management structure. So an example, let's say you go on Upwork right now, right? And you type in virtual assistant for Amazon. You're going to get a bazillion pages of God knows what, right? You interview this person. You don't know who they are. You don't know really where they are. They'll tell you where they are. You don't know who they work for, how many accounts they're managing, right? With us, everything is dedicated. So if you have a part-time VA with us, they're dedicated to you. If you have a full-time VA with us, they're dedicated to you. And above that, there's a whole hierarchy management system. So everything is in-house, everything's under one roof. And an example, like, Bella, if I'm your VA, I'm working for your business only. I don't have my head in 30 other companies and I can't focus, right? And so I saw this as I was building my company to 75 million a year. I saw this and I was like, you know what? There's so much that's disruptible in this space. I'm going to break this space up a little bit. And so, you know, we've done a good job at it over the past 12 months. The company's a year old. And we got a ton of clients now. Our largest customer does more than me. Our largest customer does $26 million a month in sales. 26 million a month. And roughly about half of that is on Amazon. The other half is comprised of his website, Walmart, Google, you know, everywhere. They're all over the web. So we have some players that use us all the way down to our lowest clients, about 50K a month, roughly in sales. Yeah.
So that sounds pretty good. So since you use VAs so much, like, can you give us some tips of what to look for when we hire some of these VAs? Because I know a lot of sellers that, just like you mentioned, this is something that they struggle with because they do think, they're going to hire somebody and expect them to do everything, but you need to train them. So how do you train them? I guess what is the main thing that you do different than all of us sellers who can train our VAs right?
All right. The bottom line, I'm just going to give it to you on a silver platter right now. Okay. The bottom line is this. Every seller that I've ever seen, for the most part, that struggles with this stuff doesn't know how to bucket things properly. And so when a client comes on board with us, we have this exercise that they do. And I would say anybody can do this, whether you work with us or not. And it's so simple, it sounds dumb, but nobody does this, right? Like, I've been in the game for a long time now. And if you see most people's operations, as you know, it's just chaos all the time. It's like, yeah, we're doing $1 million a month, but everybody's running around all nuts. Nothing's really organized well. And so we're really big on kind of breaking process down. So what do I mean by that, right? Well, what I mean by that is actually taking time out to inventory everything that you and your employees are doing on a daily basis. Why is this important? Well, we need to know what's happening here, right? So here's an example. Let's say that I have Joanne and I'm paying Joanne $50K a year, right? And she's in the United States, and Joanne's job is to help me grow my business, help me grow my company, help me grow my sales. But I look at Joanne's work, because we've taken an inventory now, and over the past month, she's creating labels, she's doing back-end tasks, she's doing all of these different things that literally do nothing to drive GMV for the business. That's not why I hired her. I hired her to help me grow the company because she has specific skill sets that move the needle. This happens all the time in e-commerce businesses. They get inundated, and then before you know it, you have all these in-house employees that you're paying very expensive salaries, and they are doing back-end tasks. And I look at these like as monotonous tasks. So things that you're doing on a daily basis, right? That should be handed off to a VA, no question. If you're doing the same thing, Bella, every day, and you write this down and you say, holy smokes, I just inventoried this. Here's 10 things and I'm doing this shit every day. You have no business doing that anymore. You're doing it every day. You perfected it. It needs to be off your plate, right? And that's how I run not just my companies, that's how I run my life with this stuff. I own a lot of businesses, a lot of different companies. I'm an investor in different companies. I sit on boards. I don't have time for coming in and not having data at my fingertips to be able to make fast, calculated decisions. And so that's really kind of where we start with a client. It's like, listen, we're not going to try and sell you anything. Let's understand, like, what does your workload look like? Like, do this exercise for us. And I'm telling you, it's very eye-opening. It's very eye-opening. You'll do it. It's very sobering because you look at it and you go, I'm wasting half my day on this shit. Like, this is crazy. I got to get this off my plate. So that's essentially how we do it. Yeah.
So you have a set of like interviews for them. Like how do you onboard somebody? Like, what are some things that you would ask a VA before they even qualify? And are there some tests that you do as well? I know there's different tests out there, like Brigger-Myers and all those.
100. Yeah, there's a lot. Let me answer the other side of your question. So that's the first part. That's essentially you as an individual. How do you figure out what you need? The second part to your question, okay, I'm going to address that now. It's a good question. And this is where everybody screws up what this whole game's about. There is a VA and a skill set for many different things. So people think this, my VA should be able to do PPC and create labels and do customers. That person is out of their mind. A PPC VA is a grossly different animal than somebody who is answering support tickets, answering the telephone, responding to support tickets, creating labels. Where I'm going with this is that the reason that we do this exercise is because we're understanding the buckets of what you need. And we are systematically pairing you with a skill set based on your needs, okay? So for example, if you came to me and you said, I need XYZ, and the majority of what you actually want is PPC and keyword research. Let's just say that as an example, right? Well, we have an in-house team that does that. And so you're not going to go over to a VA, you're going to go to our PPC in-house team. Two different animals, as you know, right? So it's really identifying the core first and then matching your needs with the skill sets. And that's kind of where we bring our synergy to the table, because we already have buckets of everything that's necessary to sell on Amazon. We have wholesale sellers, we have private label sellers, and we have people that do RA, Amazon automation, anything that you can think of, they use VAs for us. But it's really not a complex answer. I know you're looking for a complex, like, oh my God, light bulb answer. It's not complicated. Everybody just complicates the VA process. So that's why really with our company, we wanted to just simplify it, break it down, and make it easy for people. And I think that's the value that we have. We just bring a lot of structure to the table. Biggest problem that I see is no one buckets out what their real needs are, and they don't know how to patch over what they're looking for to the VA skill set. Because at the end of the day, when you're interviewing these VAs, you really don't know if they're in other countries. They're going to tell you that they're good at something, but you can't really KPI them. With us, we have a 2-week model where week 1, you're in onboarding. Week 2, the VA is doing all your tasks immediately. And you're watching everything. There's a team lead over them. Everything's reported to you, full transparency. So, it's easy, but it is complex at the same time.
Right. I mean, I see this as being an issue with, a lot of people that I work with, because in my opinion, it's very hard to train them if you don't know what you need them to do. So do you create the large SOPs for them? Do you record videos? Like, what is one tip that you could give us on, on hiring just one first person? Because a lot of people have trouble hiring number one and then, moving on from there.
So the way that we onboard you is we want to do the work the way that Isabella wants it done, not the way that we think it should be done. Follow me on this, right? You have built a successful business and you have a system down. So what we do is we actually work with you in week 1 to create what's called a video SOP. So you, on your computer screen, will record your screen and go through the tasks that you want managed. There's multiple reasons behind this, but the main 2 are this. Number 1, it's exactly how you want it done, and that's the way I want it done for my customers. I want the work done how Isabella wants it done, not how Derek thinks it should be done or this or that. So that's number 1. Number 2, we file these in a library for you. Okay, here's why this is really, really effective. I don't kid myself about the state of the world right now, like it's COVID, right? Anything could happen to a VA, anything could happen to a human being. I have clients that have video libraries with 75 plus videos in there, and each one of those are tasks, okay? So let's say that you're working with Rahul or Pawan, and all of a sudden something happens, right? Well, there's a team lead above them that are familiar with your account, your business model, and all of your tasks. We literally never have downtime. So if something were to happen to your VA, that's picked up because we have all your SOPs. In addition to that, we are able to insert somebody else that literally picks up where Pawan left off, for example. So that's why this stuff is important, if you get my drift. The thing in the industry too is like, they went dark, right? Like meaning that you're working with Pawan and it's like, dude, I've been trying to contact this guy for a week. I don't know where he is. Like, what's going on? Like, that's panic because they're doing so much for you. With our business model, it's quite different. But video SOPs, to answer your question, video SOPs work 1,000% of the time. And that's the reason we do it like that, is because I wanted this business, I wanted the model to be done the way that you want it done. And a lot of people don't tackle that right now.
So if a seller comes to you that they don't know what they're doing, they know they need help, but
keep the coming. Yeah.
Are you able to help them, create an SOP for themselves? Like how do I go about, what do I tell these people to do?
So I'm going to be very blunt with you, and it's not going to really, for the newer sellers, they're not going to love my statement right now, but it's a partial yes and no, more of a no though. And let me tell you kind of why we go after what we go after. We work with established businesses. This was the only way I could really try and find a way to bring transparent value. So if you're new and you're like just starting and you just started out, you got like Helium 10 and you're like doing keyword research and you're trying to figure all this out, we never tout, come to us and we're going to like help you build all these video SOPs and teach you how to do this. That's not it. You either need to learn you got to learn the game yourself, take a course, figure whatever you need to figure out, get your business off the ground. And I am the guy that will take the tedious tasks off your plate so you can continue to keep figuring it out. That's the best way to do business. You want to know why? How many companies are out there right now that say, use our service, use our launch strategy, use this, use that, use this. And I mean, no one can really guarantee anything. We're talking about Amazon here, right? I just had a bestseller listing go down. I lost $250,000 in 7 days, right? This is a tricky industry that we're in, right? And so I like the simplicity of what we build. So the answer is no. If you're new, we're not a good fit for you. Don't come to us and expect us to like build things from the ground up. Just because you hear that I do 75 million a year, I'm not saying it's not possible for you to do that, but you need to learn. You actually have to learn it yourself. And that is a problem that I see in the industry right now. Everybody's like, oh my God, you guys do these numbers, like teach me. And it's like, I'm not in that space. So this is why VA Relief was the way that I thought I could give back to existing sellers that are growing. Like I can take the pain away from them because I know what that piece is like.
I see. We have a question. Somebody from Civ. I have 10 VAs that all specialize, but I spend a whole week of time managing them and pushing tasks out. I guess I need a VA to manage the VAs.
Perfect. So I'll field this question. This is a great question. So what we have is for every 5 VAs, we have what's called a team lead. This is internal. So if this particular individual had 10 VAs with us, I'll just give you an example here. All 5 of their VAs would have one manager above them, right? So 5 VAs, they each have a team lead. That team lead is who these 5 VAs report to. These 5 VAs and the team lead also report to the customer. So there's fluid transparency everywhere, right? Now, if there are mishaps that are happening, that's where the team lead is going in and working with the VAs to figure anything out that needs to be figured out. In addition to that, the team lead above the 5 VAs is a higher up level employee, meaning that their knowledge base may be a little bit more superior than the VA. They're just a higher level staff employee, right? They've been around much longer. They can answer questions that potentially the 5 VAs might have an issue with. So that's how we do it. I mean, the question that they're asking here, I guess I need a VA to manage the VAs. It also comes down to the VA that you're going to hire to manage your 10 VAs. What's their skill set? Do they know everything that your 10, you know what I mean? Like, so it does get complex. And that's why the way we build it out from the ground up, there's never any complexity with it. There's full transparency and there's always management.
And what made you get to that number, to a 5 and 1? Do you feel like that?
Yeah, I feel like one team lead is good enough to be able to manage 5 VAs. We kind of, at first it was 3, and then we realized, it can be 5. Like they had the bandwidth. And so it started capping out past 5. It started kind of capping out because with us, we're not hourly. You're either part-time 20 hours a week or you're full-time at 40 hours a week. We don't do anything in between because, again, the VA is dedicated to you and they'll work your business hours as well. So if you wanted somebody to work, Pacific, they'll work Pacific with you. So, yeah.
So the team lead basically is just there to make sure the 5 VAs are doing what they're supposed to and answer questions that they may not know.
That's correct. Yeah, they're a higher level. And the team lead is, in my opinion, one of the most valuable things in the game right now around it, because in the VA business right now, there is no management after you make your purchase. So what I mean by that is when you sign up for something or you go to Upwork or you're paired, there's these different companies. FreeUp is out there. And these aren't bad companies. I'm not knocking them, but you have like FreeUp, you have Upwork. They're a middleman, right? And so it's like, Bella, use this person. I'm going to link you up, right? And then just pay me my commission. And oh my God, I'm going to cross my fingers that this shit works out between the two of you, right? Like that's really what it comes down to. It's, I'm sourcing you this, but I really don't fully know what that is, right? It's a platform essentially. So all of our stuff is different because it's in-house. Our trainings are in-house. They work for one company. We're not outsourcing it per se, if you get my drift.
How many people in the VA Relief do you have right now working?
VAs?
Yes.
Oh God, we have about 275 VAs that are working in VA Relief right now for our customer base. We have we're a little bit over 110 clients right now. And it's only been a year. And so you got to remember too, like my main focus is my business, but now since the company has grown, we've actually been aggressively hiring people under me. So we have sales reps now. You know, you can do a call with us. You can book a full discovery call with us. You know, the sales reps will do a call with you. They'll go over everything with you. Quite a bit involved in that respect. Yeah.
And is there a reason why you picked India and not like Philippines or somewhere in Europe?
Yeah, because I guess it was just by chance. The person who is now my management level over there, he was just like an all-star. You know, they had a background in e-commerce. It worked out so well that I became their largest account. And then, you know, I'm a businessman, and I was like, hey, listen, we got a company here. Let's keep growing that. And so it just worked out great. We also had the infrastructure. You know what I mean? Like the infrastructure was already there. We all knew Amazon. We all knew the processes. So we wanted to keep building upon that rather than saying, hey, let's go to the Philippines and do that here. Or, you know, let's go here. We already had all of the structure in place. So it worked out very well for us. Yeah.
It sounds like you built a nice company there.
Yeah, it's good. I'm bummed because I was actually supposed to go there, but you know, COVID. I was supposed to go there a couple months back, but I'll make it there probably next year. I'm thinking probably Q1. I'll head out to India.
That will be your first time there.
That'll be my first time in India. Yes. Asia a bazillion times, but India, yes, that'll be my first time there.
That's beautiful. Do you mind? Let's talk a little bit about your Amazon business, because I know everybody's so excited to hear about that and how you got to be so successful. Let's start with, what are some mistakes that you did in the beginning that could help somebody now?
Mistakes?
Yes.
All right. Oh man, I'm going to give you a good one here. And I'm going to tell you a product too. I don't usually, some people know what I sell, but I'll give you a product here. I think in the private label game now, one of the biggest mistakes that people don't do is they don't look into, and this is aggressively happening now, so trust me on this. They don't look into patents. They'll grab a product just off research and they don't check patent stuff. And it's happening at scale right now on Amazon. People are being taken down left and right because these patent owners are seeing, holy shit, look at all these people infringing my utility patent on Amazon. I can get money from this essentially, right? So an example would be this. I went to a trade show. I was fortunate enough to be able to get a meeting with Martha Stewart. We were going to do a business development deal. So I flew to Vegas and I'm at this trade show and I'm meeting with Martha Stewart and her VP, and we're talking about a program together. I was going to do a brand license deal with her. I was going to license her name. And after about 20 minutes of chatting face to face, she loves it, but she was in bed with Macy's, literally at that point, in bed with Macy's. And the program that I wanted to do on Amazon with her was a little gray for the contract she had with Macy's. So long story short, we couldn't put a deal together. But I never leave somewhere without business. Now I'm in Vegas, right? And I'm walking out of this trade show. I'm at the convention center. And I see a man from Asia in the corner. He's got this little booth with all these hoses, these expandable hoses, right? Everybody's seeing them. And so I look at this item and I was like, this item does volume on Amazon. And I'm looking at the competitors in it. And I'm like, I could smoke all these guys. Like, this will be simple for me. So I place a 200K PO. In under 60 days, I am the best seller in expandable hoses, right? We're doing 2,000 units a day. It's insane. In my mind, all my kids are going to Harvard on expandable hoses. Like, this is game over, right? So about 3 months go by and like, we're killing it. I mean, the numbers were absurd. We're making a ton of money on them. And that was just a new program that we started. We had all of our other shit going too. And all of a sudden, that beautiful little red check mark in the top of your screen on Amazon, you know that notification one that never means anything is good. I got one and I'm looking at it and I'm like, shit, and I'm reading it. It's like infringement, blah, 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 blah. It's the first one I'd ever seen. So I sent it to my attorney and he's like, dude, this guy's got like 17 patents. Like, you're done. They took you down. Like, and so basically, now keep in mind, I also had another couple $100,000 in POs out there. So I don't give up. I figured out who this guy was with the patent. I went, I found him, and we were able to work something out. I don't sell the product anymore. But the point I'm making with this whole story, right, is that could have cost somebody their whole business right there. If that was their only product that they launched if things were great, if they kept dumping hundreds of thousands into POs, but didn't do any actual background research into the product itself. And I'm telling you right now, patent owners are going to come out of the woodworks. This is not going to stop. And so just be careful with that stuff, right? Because everybody wants to be an Amazon seller right now. It's the cool thing to do. I think it's amazing. You know, we've made millions of dollars doing it. I don't discount it. Just, again, do some homework there, right? That's around product. Mistakes, I'd say the hardest ones that I did get suspended one time, we were playing around with variations a bit too much. It was a little gray with some of the stuff that we do with variations. And so it was the only time we'd ever been suspended, but it hurt. We were down for 17 days, probably lost at least $1 million, at least. And so, but that first one that I gave you there, I'm telling you right now, for the new folks that are watching this, even the existing folks that have product, take a look at it. Is there a utility patent? Look at what the utility looks like. Is there a design patent? Look at these things, because you know, business is good, but these patent holders can take you down with one click of their mouse. So
yeah, I feel like a lot of sellers think, you know, everybody wants to get big on Amazon, but a lot of them don't think they actually will. And I'm sure there are some things that are not checking, like something like this. You know, not everybody expects to sell 2,000 units a day. So this is an excellent tip. Thank you. Are there other tips that you do when you search for a new product? Because I assume you launch products all the time.
Actually, we launched a program right when COVID hit, right before the limits came in. Okay, so this is another thing. This is good. We're gonna talk openly here. I'm gonna give you guys some real shit to think about today. So as we all know, there's limits now on what you can send in. The limit is 200 for new ASINs. Okay, so this poses a predicament for certain people. There's ways to get around it, right? Like you can fulfill yourself. You can send your 200 in, you can let them keep going. Since the limits came into place, we actually held off, believe it or not, on a big launch that we were gonna do. We're gonna do it, we're just waiting until probably about Q1 roughly. It's just a specific product that we wanted to go into this, you know, properly. I wanna be able to fulfill, I'm merchant fulfilled, and we don't go small. So if I start selling something, it's gonna do 1,000 units a day quick, right? We're gonna get there fast. But no, we, you know, aside from that one launch, we have not been aggressively launching since then, because this limit thing is pretty, it's difficult, as you know. I mean, I know you're aware of it, but you know, you launch a new ASIN, you can only send 200 in. It's kind of difficult to rank those 200, then the system has to update and now you can send 600 in, but the rank that you just got falls, you know what I mean? It's difficult. So I hate to say it, I feel like people that were already in the game and are established are in a pretty good spot if they have really good listings. But we're all creative, we'll figure it out. The hope is that that lift goes away next year, but no one knows yet. No one really knows yet if they're gonna take that away, because the reality is this, the fulfillment centers are inundated with shit that does not move, because everybody wants to sell on Amazon. So that millions of people all buy 1,000 products, but they don't know what they're doing. And those 1,000 products get sent into the DCs and they sit. And that's why we all saw free removal recently, which is rare. They stopped doing that. They did it again recently because they're like, get your shit out of our fulfillment centers. It's not moving. We want to make room for things that are moving right now. So
would you still launch next year if the limits, let's say the limits never lift off?
Yeah, we're, between me and you, we're looking at this as the limits are never going to lift off, if you want me to be honest with you, because I'm very transparent. So I am looking at this and getting creative in ways that the limits will never go away in my mind, so I can strategically launch product and rank as fast as I would before. And that's going to involve, obviously, you know, some FBM shipping, which is not ideal for me. I mean, I am just I'm volume, container after container after container, just 40-foot containers direct to Amazon. Boom, I got a 3PL on the ground. I keep 20 to 25 million in retail on the ground at any given time. But like, we're just, you know, we keep it in and out, in and out, in and out. So yes, the new launch thing that we're discussing right now does pose a bit of an issue for us in some respects. Yeah.
How do you launch your products? What are the things that you do? How do you launch?
Well, I mean, this is the thing with us, right? Me personally, I am a big proponent in good marketing, good listings, good video, good bullet points, good title, good EBC. I typically always make sure that our listing is like insanely good looking, right? So like if you land there, I'm catching you with the first 3 words of my title. After I've caught you, listen, Amazon's a funnel, guys. Like, let's be honest. Amazon is a funnel. What's the first part of the funnel? The image. The image has got to be freaking amazing, right? Now I see your image. What's the first 3 words in your, did you catch me, right? Is there a dopamine spike for me to click on your, all right, now you've caught me. Now I'm in your listing. I'm in your funnel now. What's the rest of the images look like? What's the story? How's the bullet points? What's the story in the bullet point? All right, I'm in your EBC now. How do I feel? Have you bought my item yet, right? Now, obviously that's that part, but everybody knows you can create a great listing and just be buried. You're not indexed yet, right? So, you know, you have a particular service that you offer that's amazing. With us, our ranking strategies are probably a little bit different than most folks. I wouldn't say it's anything crazy or out of the ordinary. I spend money. Amazon likes money. Amazon's a machine and it likes to eat, right? And I like to feed it because when it eats, it feeds us back properly. But what do I mean by that? Well, you know, I'll give you an example. If I launch an item and I have 1 review and it's 5 stars, I'm not going to go after top keywords on that, paying for them, right? Because I'm going to launch and now I'm right next to Isabella's listing that has 46,000 reviews on it and it's the best seller, and I'm like $3 cheaper or $5 higher. Doesn't make sense, right? So I like to kind of go after low-hanging fruit, but I do things like I'll do Vine. I'll do the early reviewer program just to get like those reviews in the door. So like Vine, you're going to get 30 reviews guaranteed. We've never gotten anything lower than 4 stars on Vine. I don't think ever. We've never gotten anything lower than 4 stars. Early reviewer program, I don't think we've ever gotten anything lower than 4 stars. So you can pretty much bank that you're going to get about 35 reviews from that, roughly, right? Let's call it 30, 35. That's more than enough to actually have the proof now, like the proof of, okay, this seems like a decent listing. The rest, in my opinion, and this is only for private lit, the rest comes down to how fucking creative are you, right? Like at the end of the day, do you know how to write copy? How's your graphic design skills? Every product that we sell has video on it. Even every color variation has video on it with the different, you see where I'm going with this, right? Like we go very in depth with this stuff, where then I see a lot of people that'll launch and they'll be like, well, how come I'm not doing any sales? And I'm like, dude, your listing sucks. Like it's horrific. The images are horrible, right? Like all these different things. And so on top of that, I do Amazon Media Group. We do paid ads. You know, I'll run some paid from other channels. So Amazon sees traffic coming in and it's like, oh, this is nice. But I spend $650,000 a month on Amazon advertising as well. So we're spending $650K a month on ads right now. That's just on Amazon. I spend over $1 million a month on advertising between Amazon and all the other channels. But we like to feed the machine, you know, we do. I am a firm believer that if you grow properly, you're not going to lose your organic indexing, which I see a lot of people do. They'll rank and they get up there, but they can't stay there. We stick.
That's amazing. Do you use any influencers?
So we had some products that were fun. We had one that was a little seasonal, and we did a couple different influencer things. These are you would know them too. Like I could say them out loud. I won't, just for privacy stuff. But we used 2 celebrity influencers, and what I came to find was if you're going to use influencers, make sure that when you're negotiating your deal with the influencer, that obviously you're going to get your story and you're going to get your swipe up. But if you're doing Instagram influencing, make sure that you want the product to live on their actual page, because people go, a lot of times the influencer will be like, oh, you know, it's $5,000 for a swipe up, right? And even though that person may have 6 million followers, unless that swipe up is a boosted post, 6 million people are not seeing that. I think we all know that. It's like something like 6 or 7%, if that, of their follower base is seeing that. So while you think, oh my God, this is the coolest chick in the world, and like I'm going to sell a bazillion just from this swipe up, that's actually not true. So you want to make sure that if you're going to do that, you get the story, but you also want the still. You want the still on the page as well. And negotiate with them. Say, listen, I want the still to stay there for 60 days. You know, like what are we looking at there? But long story short, it was nowhere near nowhere near as good as it is for the way that I spend with Amazon or run other paid from like, Facebook example to Amazon. It just wasn't. And that was our experience with it. So, yeah. But I know that that's not everybody's. Some people are successful with it. So I guess we're a work in progress there.
But when you first started, how did you even come up with all these ideas? Because you were a beginner at once too, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm self-taught. So basically again, people aren't, I put the fucking work in, Bella. You want to know what I did? I sat behind a computer and I learned how to do this shit. Like I went into Amazon and I got my hands dirty. No one wants to do that anymore. Everybody's like, give me a course, I'll pay you $2,000 and I just want to do 75 million a year. I see some guy with a black shirt on talking to a girl and just how do I get to that level? So I think there's this misconception now where if I take a course, I'm successful. And that's just not, listen, I could build you a course right now on I could give you the whole blueprint on exactly how I got to where I am. The reality is that if I sold that course, 1 or 2% of people would have the same results because it comes back to work ethic. It comes back to putting the work in. Nobody wants to do that anymore. There's enough shit on YouTube for you to learn everything that you need for free. For free, literally. I mean, you could do that. So I never took a course. I'm not knocking courses. I'm not knocking, listen, but I see some pretty shady shit on the internet right now that I know that some of these people that sell this stuff never really did it themselves, I just do. So I won't call anybody out right now, but when I see that, I feel like it's a little bit of a disservice in some respects, because a lot of times these people, that $2,000 that they're paying for, it's all their money that they got,
And that's probably on the lower end. There's some courses out there that are a lot more expensive. So, but it doesn't mean that courses don't work. It just means that we're willing to put in into it, right?
I'm never disputing that a course doesn't work. I think what ends up happening is these course creators do put a lot of work into the course. So the problem is if the pupil is not taking this information and doing something with it, they're just watching it. And they're like, oh, this didn't work for me. Well, no, dude, you didn't do any of the work. You didn't do anything. Like you tried to get your trademark and you stopped there, or you got your listing up and it got hard and you quit. Well, it's supposed to be hard, right? If it was easy, everybody would be doing this, right? So
yeah, I mean, I can understand that. I am guilty of buying a lot of courses and not even opening them, because sometimes you have that feeling just by taking the action of buying them that somehow all that information is going to flow into your brain. So I can understand that. So what you're saying is you need to work.
Working, like, listen, I would say one of like my biggest mentors, and I've only met him a couple times, but like I love Gary Vee's mentality about like working, like just getting in and doing stuff. He's very spot on with that. And I see that in our space. I see in our space right now, because here's the reality. Instagram can look very appealing to anybody, when oftentimes what you see on Instagram and good marketing can sway people to do things, right? So if you like go to my Instagram page, you'll see like a Ferrari and a nice house. And I don't, like with me, I have a VA company. I'm not selling anybody a course. I don't do any of these masterminds or anything like that. We're just too busy. But I like to play on Instagram. It's fun for me, but the people that sell hardcore, that have the nice stuff, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think it's necessary in some respects of marketing. But I do think that a lot of people see that and immediately think, okay, I'm going to get these things just by buying this course, but I don't have to put any fucking work in, which is just insane. Like, it's not reality, right? And so I like to kind of debunk that a little bit. I talk about that quite a bit in the stories that I run, and I've never said anybody's name. I'm more professional than that, but I do think that people need to really work on understanding the true from the false when it comes to reality. And if everybody had the work ethic, there would be a lot more success, I think, with the courses,
I see.
1 in 1,000 may make it. Alan, you're right, man. You're right. It's the truth. I mean, it is. How many Amazon sellers are there right now? Does anybody know the answer to this? Millions. It's like, I don't even know what the number is. It's 6 or 7 million. You could Google it right now. It's millions. And out of that number, it is a very small fraction of people that do over $100,000 a year in sales. Did you hear it? A year, over 100 grand a year. It's a small fraction. So again, I mean, it kind of goes to show what the nature of it is. It's very similar, Bella, to like, hey, you're a doctor and you've got nice shit and I want the nice stuff that you have. So I need to go to school to figure out how to be a doctor. This is very similar. I mean, this stuff's complicated. So, yeah.
How do you keep motivated? Because a lot of people lose motivation. I guess that's where it all starts.
For me, like, I just love the game of all this. Like, listen, the money's great. The money comes. I like building things from nothing. Like, me and my business partner just invested $1 million into a gaming startup, video gaming. But I see a vision with stuff like that. Like Kanye West's manager is our head of talent for this company. Like, we have major players in this company, right? That's what keeps me motivated. Like Amazon is great, but Amazon to me funds other things. Like, I take earnings from Amazon and I fund it with real estate purchases. I invest in startup companies. We do a lot of different things like that. So the motivation has never gone away, but I think that it's a good question because if you don't intuitively have that, you can't really teach that, as you know. Like, I know you, I watch you on social, you're good, you have that hustle, you have that motivation. As me and you both know, though, a lot of people aren't cut from the same cloth. So if I give a non-entrepreneur a course and expect them to be motivated, I'm out of my mind, because that might not be reality. They might not be a business owner. Maybe they're a good number 2, a good number 5, good at graphic design, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? But that's kind of the way that I see it right now. I don't know. I don't know how to answer your question because I'm never not motivated. I love it so much that it's fun. Like, I don't work. Like, this is not work. What we're doing right now, when I came in this morning and I looked at our sales, we did 420 grand yesterday. This is not work, guys. I love this. Right? So it just doesn't feel like work to me.
So what I'm hearing is that when you have fun and you do something you love, it doesn't seem like work. And I completely agree with that. But there's some people out there that maybe are not entrepreneur material, but they would like to be. Like, are there some tips? Like, do you just read a lot of books? Do you watch videos? How do you inspire yourself to take that first step?
Yeah, let's take Amazon off the plate for that question. Yeah. Forget Amazon, forget e-commerce, forget anything in general. That's more of a life question, in my opinion. So, it's really a life question, because it's like, how do you take somebody who wants to have success in some area of their life, but reprogram their conditioning that they've grown up with, right? And their conditioning could be anything. Like, I've grown up with this mindset and I think negative all the time, right? Well, that's got to change, because if you're I really am a firm believer that what we're doing up here is creating this reality. I really believe that. I don't believe it. I know it's true because it's happened in my life. So that's my experience. But in order to take an individual, and forget the entrepreneur stuff, forget the money, all that, I think that, yes, to some extent, what you said about the programming, I think that needs to change. Is there any correlation to the fact that I went to a couple Tony Robbins events and sat in the front row and paid a shit ton of money, right? But then built a 9-figure business? That's an example I just gave you, because that's a reality. Is there a correlation to that? Probably. Am I saying go spend 10 grand and hang out with Tony Robbins? No, but start watching some videos, right? Start watching some videos on mindfulness, right? Meditate, do these different things that can reprogram your brain. And then I think entrepreneurship becomes a little bit easier for you. But if you're, that stuff's got to be addressed first, Yeah.
Step 1, take care of your mind. Make sure you get into that mindset of reprogramming and believing first. And then from that on, you become like an entrepreneur or whatever you want.
That's where we need to build a course. We need to build the pre-course. And like, you're going to buy an Amazon course. This is the precursor to that course, right? We're going to get your mindset right. That's what really needs to be reality right now. Is like, you gotta fix that first. You can't just expect paying $2 grand to some guy with a Lamborghini is going to fix your mindset. It's not. You're going to get it and you're going to go, oh my God, this is still working. I'm still thinking negative. This guy just took my $2 grand and now he's running a Ferrari.
Yeah, this is a good point that you're bringing, Derek, because I mean, this is very true in my life as well. Where I grew up, I was always told, like, be quiet, don't speak up.
Yeah.
Everybody's above you. So, it took me a long time to make that transition, and it was really me wanting it bad enough that made that transition. Years ago, you would have talked to me, and I would have been so shy I couldn't even look into your eyes. Like,
Sure.
it's a real story. So, it's definitely hard work on yourself. And from then on, just like you said, everything kind of falls into place. So it's not just like you said, buy a course and all of a sudden you're going to become a millionaire. You could become a millionaire without taking that course, just by switching that mindset. And I noticed that it's a pattern with very successful people like yourself. They all have the mind right. When I ask them this, like, what motivates you, what inspires, is like, I don't remember myself now motivated. Like, it's always has been there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that you just gave that example, like in your own life though, right? And when I go back, you really just brought me back when you said that. I'm glad that you brought that up. When I go back in time and I think about when I started becoming an entrepreneur, the truth is this: pain, I think, brings you to that too in some respects. And what I mean by pain, like not being happy with your current state and wanting more, right? And I don't mean material, I just mean like success, wealth, things like that. And so I think that that was a motivator as well. Like, man, you know what? Like, I would like to have the nice stuff and I would like to have the nice life and I would like to be able to provide for my kids. But in order to do that at the level that I want, I actually have to put the work in, right? And I think that the first 6 months of that is difficult, but I think it's like 21 days to create a habit, right? Like if you suck at going to the gym, go to the gym for 21 days and your brain will start to kind of get conditioned in that. I think it is the same in some respects with the negative thinking, like work on transitioning that. But I love that you just gave that example of you in general, because it's true. You know it to be true as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. And I see even people taking that first step, because as I mentioned, somebody may be like, oh, I want to be like Derek. Like, how do I get there? Even you wanting that, that's a good sign. That's a good step that you are, some part of you wants that so bad. So if you continue on that path of like, okay, I want it, but also action, because a lot of people, following like law of attraction and the secret and all this, which are great, by the way, they think just by wishing something will come true, but you have to put in the work. Like you said, like you really wanted to be successful, but you also worked 14, 16 hours days, even though you had 2 kids and now you have 4. So work never really stops. It just transmutes into something else, right? Like you're not putting in 14 hours work into your Amazon store, but you're still utilizing that time and growing yourself and doing different things.
So true. And today, today I am already done with Amazon for today, if you get my drift. Like I came in today, I knew that me and you had our thing today. I did my 1 hour because all the data is at my fingertips because the VAs are so programmed. I can make fast calculated decisions on anything that needs to change, price, this, that, title, and then boom, I'm on with my day and I'm doing other things that are making the companies more money. High level. That's where CEOs need to operate. High level. Every Amazon seller is doing all this crap in their business, and that's why they never grow. That's why they're stuck at 200K a month. So,
do you have certain things that you do every day? Like, do you wake up at 5 a.m. or what is your schedule?
Well, hold on. My kids wake us up at 5 a.m. So we actually I feel so privileged saying this, but we just brought on a nanny on, right? Which is great because it helps me and my wife out, obviously. But yes, I wake up at roughly about 5:15 a.m. I'm working out by 5:30. So I have a home gym. I do the mirror in the morning. So like I'll do strength training on that. And then I do the Peloton, which I think fucking rocks. If you can afford one, buy one now. But I burn I burned 800 calories this morning before this. So I feel good right now. I need to do my workout in the morning. That's just how I am. Like I gotta get the blood flowing in the morning. My creativity skyrockets. But when I don't work out in the morning, a little sluggish all day. I'm a little, So for me, that's so I do that. I exercise. I do that. I pray. I meditate. I eat breakfast. I hang out with the family, and then boom, I'm in this office by 8 a.m. and I crush it from 8 to 4:30. And here's the difference now. When I go home, I actually try and disconnect. Now, I'd be absolutely bullshitting you if I told you that from 4:30 on, I'm not looking at this guy right here and checking things. I mean, come on, But I'm not working 14 or 16 hours a day anymore. And I have a life and I have fun and I'm involved with, my family as well. So it's doable. But I am a big fan of having those patterns in place, and you got to stay consistent with it because it spills into your business life as well. It's the same stuff.
I will take that advice. I tend to be a little disorganized at times, so thank you for that, and I'm sure everybody else listening thanks you very much as well.
Awesome.
Before we leave today, it's something that I always love to ask people. And what is one book that really changed your life, or you really, really love?
There's so many, but I think the one that has really stuck with me so well, it's not a business book either, is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Amazing book. If you never read it, read it. All the business books, I got some of them behind me. They're great. But that goes back to that mindset conditioning. It goes back to that thinker. It goes back to that silent talker that we have. And a lot of that dictates what this external life looks like for us. So that's one that I would say The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
I love it. I have it. Thank you so much, Derek. Where can people find you?
So at Derek James is my Instagram handle, at Derek, DEREK James. Follow me on there. I try and drop content as much as possible. And then my website, if you guys are interested in VA, schedule a call one of our sales reps. It's VARelief.com. VARelief.com. So yeah, that's where you can find us. And
you have very good content on Instagram. I follow your story, and you're always motivating and showing people that it can be done.
Thank you. Likewise. I like you.
When you run such a big company with so many people. So yeah, thank you so much for being with us today, Derek. You are amazing, and hope to have you again at some point in the future.
Appreciate it, Bella. Thank you so much.
Ready. We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.